Hi, I want to take a moment to talk about coffee. Since a lot of you are on the spring cleanse right now, Americans consume about 400 million cups of coffee a day, with the average coffee drinker having three and a half cups every single day. That's a lot of coffee. This represents a fundamental difference from many other cultures where tea remains the predominant beverage of choice. While Americans drink an average of about 401 cups of coffee annually, each person does, countries like China, India prioritize tea with consumption rates exceeding about 1.5 pounds of tea per person a year. The UK, Turkey, Morocco, Japan, they maintain very strong cultural tea traditions centered around ceremony and social connection, whereas American coffee culture often emphasizes convenience, productivity, and individual consumption. Typical of our culture. Our coffee habits have evolved from simple drip brewing to an elaborate spectrum of specialty drinks, with espresso based beverages becoming increasingly common in American daily life. Coffee is a strong source of antioxidants in the American diet, polyphenols, helping to neutralize free radicals and reduce oxidative stress. Of course, that's black coffee, right? Research has shown that moderate black coffee consumption can enhance alertness, concentration, and even memory function, making it a favored morning ritual for productivity. In young athletes, particularly, not so much in aging athletes. Caffeine has been demonstrated to improve endurance, performance, somewhere up of about 5%, which in competition is a lot. Increased time to exhaustion and perceived energy levels also go up with black coffee consumption in young athletes. Several large-scale studies have associated regular black coffee consumption with a possible reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, and that's only if it's taken without sugar or milk, certain cancers, and neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's disease. But despite these benefits, recent research reveals concerning connections between coffee consumption in a human and cholesterol levels. So there we are. Multiple studies have identified specific compounds in coffee that significantly impact lipid profiles. According to research published in the Journal of Functional Foods in 2023, coffee contains diterpenes, primarily cafestol and kaleol, which are now recognized as potent cholesterol elevating compounds. Cafestol is identified as the most potent cholesterol elevating compound in the human diet, people, affecting cholesterol metabolism through its action on liver receptors. And that's from the Journal of Functional Foods, 2023. So the mechanism of this effect is becoming clearer. And as explained by Ricketts et al. In their study on coffee beans, cafestol activates farnesoid X receptor, or FXR, and pregnane X receptor, PXR, suppressing genes like cholesterol 7 alpha hydroxylase, also known as CYP7A1, and disrupting bile acid synthesis. And this leads to reduced cholesterol breakdown and increased serum levels of cholesterol. So that's the mechanism of action. This is a very real thing. We can't really get around it, right? The impact on cholesterol is significant and dose dependent. A daily intake of 10 milligrams of cafestol raises serum cholesterol by 8 to 10% within 4 weeks. That's remarkable. And that's from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences in 2024. Now, how you brew your coffee does seem to have an effect on how much of cafestol shows up in your final extract, because coffee is an extract, right? So the method of preparation significantly influences coffee's effect on cholesterol. Unfiltered coffee, such as French press, Turkish, Greek, boiled Scandinavian style coffee, contain the highest levels of cafestol and kaleol, with studies showing that they can raise serum cholesterol by up to 14% in controlled trials within 4 weeks. And that's from the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine, published in 1996. Now, espresso contains a moderate or an average level of diterpenes per serving, but heavy consumption can still affect cholesterol levels. And paper filtered coffee, the paper filtration process, removes a good amount or most of the cholesterol raising compounds, these diterpenes, making this a little bit of a better option for those concerned about lipid profiles. Instant coffee contains negligible amounts of cafestol and kaleol. So coffee, people, is plant medicine. It's powerful plant medicine. So it might be appropriate under certain circumstances and with certain people, but not appropriate with everyone. So as we consider the research, all of it, it's important to recognize that coffee is not simply a beverage, but it's a potent plant extract with pharmacological effects. Coffee influences multiple biological systems simultaneously, including cardiovascular, nervous, digestive, and endocrine systems. Individual responses to coffee vary tremendously based on genetics, existing underlying health conditions, and metabolic factors and age. While young, healthy individuals may process coffee efficiently, those with existing cholesterol concerns or cardiovascular issues or liver conditions like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or liver fibrosis, right, or alcoholism may experience more pronounced negative effects. And I think it's really important to find your personal coffee balance, okay? It's not something that you can just drink all day long, and you should never do something like that with coffee. It's an alterative, right? Coffee consumption should be approached with mindfulness and respect for its potency. Consider scheduling regular coffee holidays of 1 to 2 weeks. That's about the time we do our spring cleanse, people, to allow your body's homeostatic mechanisms to reset. It's a big reset, right? Pay attention to your unique response to different brewing methods and consumption patterns. And if you have existing cholesterol concerns, consider switching to either brewing methods, reducing, or completely abstaining and switching over to tea, which might actually help your brain, your mind, and thinking even better than coffee. Consult with a holistic health practitioner who can elevate or evaluate and understand how coffee specifically affects your particular biochemistry. And if you have existing health conditions or taking medications, it's even more important to understand how coffee will affect any of those. And remember that moderation looks different for every person, which constitutes a healthy amount from one individual may be excessive for another, right? And coffee is neither inherently good nor bad, but rather a complex botanical with both benefits and potential drawbacks. So by approaching it with much respect for its potency and awareness of your individual health needs, you can make informed choices about how this popular beverage fits into your personal health journey. So now that you know the broad spectrum approach to coffee, I hope it really inspires you to take a coffee holiday, but also to really lean into your spring cleanse. If you're doing your spring cleanse, about giving it up, even for a small part of time, or even considering if you do have cholesterol issues or lipid profile issues, considering switching to tea. All right. Feel good. Thanks so much. Bye.